Well, sorry about that. Got cut off just before I finished up this particular slide, but I'm almost finished. And as I said, there will be two parts to today's discussion. We left off with surface area. And I always think of this when I was a kid growing up. I used to watch movies, Cowboys and Indians, or watch movies like Braveheart or um, Waterloo, where Napoleon was defeated. But there always were this group of soldiers that would surround themselves in the middle, and the outer soldiers would try and penetrate that big group. And typically they weren't successful. And over here, we have this big group, in this case, of particles. This is a reactant in the blue. And now we break it up into many smaller pieces. Well, you can see now that these soldiers can get inside and fight a little bit more effectively. Well, if you take the old movie analogy there, now we have a greater surface area. So there's more collisions when you increase the surface area. We did that when we took our Alka-Seltzer tablet and broke it up into 10 or 12 or how many pieces you broke it up to. When we broke it up into smaller chunks, we were increasing the surface area. So the chemical reaction inside the flask, if you remember, would go a lot faster. And we end up blowing up the balloon. We got a greater amount of, we got amount of carbon dioxide gas, but in a quicker time because we increased the surface area. And again, we're always thinking about how can we have more collisions, and that's related to the more reaction, a greater reaction rate. Sometimes we can add a chemical. You and I did this in our nail over on the windowsill. You added a catalyst. We added vinegar. We could have put the nail in the water with no vinegar, and it would have worked, but it would have taken a lot longer. So a catalyst is a substance that speeds up the rate of a chemical reaction. But there's an important point. The catalyst does not change the outcome. It's not a part of the reaction itself. It just speeds it along. If I have a catalyst and these two reactants need to bond, well, if they bond to the catalyst first and then they can bond with each other, they form a product. The catalyst here in the green, it moves on. It is not part of the reaction. It plays no role in the product that will form. I did mention before concentration and pressure were sort of on the same line. Well, think about it this way. If I have a cylinder here and I have molecules or particles inside, well, they might be colliding at a certain rate. If I increase the pressure and I push them together and I make them be more concentrated by adding pressure, if I force the particles together, this will cause an increase in collisions. Removing pressure decreases the collisions. Example, have you ever been on an overloaded elevator and it comes to a sudden stop? Well, sometimes people will kind of like fall into each other and like a big domino effect. If you're in the elevator and there's very few people and it comes to a sudden stop, well, you're probably not going to bump into anybody, at least as much as you did. So pressure, you increase it, you increase collisions. Now, these are two demonstrations of catalyst, or two video clips I want you to check out. This one talks about when we add a catalyst. It's pretty cool. And this one is talking about when we increase the temperature, what happens. And these are both very short videos, but check them out because it gives you an example. If we were in school, we would have done both of these as a demonstration. I would have done them for you. But since we're not here, we'll take the next best thing. Let's review, let's summarize. Rates of chemical reaction can be increased by increasing pressure, temperature, surface area, concentration, and by adding a catalyst. Summarize. The rate of a chemical reaction is influenced by four major factors: temperature, adding a catalyst, increase in concentration and or pressure, and increase the surface area of the reactants. Remember, it's all about the collisions. In order for chemical reactions to occur, collisions must occur. Collisions have to happen, and we can increase those collisions by changing one of these four factors to help us out. All right, that's it. There are some questions that will follow, and have a great day. And if you need me, you know where to find me.